The moment Eric Swalwell said the quiet part out loud, half the room stopped breathing. It wasn't a question. It wasn't a debate. It was a warning, sharp, direct, and aimed straight at the two people who thought accountability would never touch them. In those few seconds, something shifted. You could feel it. The tone, the energy, the unspoken fear behind the calm faces. Because when a member of Congress looks across the room and essentially says, "You should start getting comfortable with the witness chair," it's not politics anymore. It's a countdown. And that's exactly what Swalwell delivered. An unfiltered countdown to the people who've operated for years like oversight didn't exist.
But today, this legislation is about making it easier for ICE to remove more of our friends and neighbors. And I guess the question I have is it really that hard for you right now? Is there anything that's getting in your way from just lawlessly going into our communities and detaining American citizens, terrorizing women as masked bandits who are not identified, run through the streets, chase people through fields, go into car washes, go to Home Depot parking lots? Like, are you having a difficult time just ripping people away from their families, and you think you need more abilities to do it? Also, quite interesting that you're asking for more legal authorities because you don't even follow the laws that are on the books right now. So what are we doing here, I guess, is my first question. But the American people are telling you, get the hell out of our homes, our streets, and our lives. And I want to play a video, Mr. Chairman, that illustrates that.
I was going to school.
When the spray hit Veraza on the side of his head.
Mama, you okay, Mama? You okay? Are you okay?
He's a citizen! He's a citizen!
They do not have a warrant. They forcefully open the door.
No resistance. What am I doing? Carry! Hey, get on the ground!
I love you, let me go!
Get back, I'm gonna shoot you. You're gonna what? You're gonna shoot me?
I'm touching the car, leave me alone! Look what they're doing,
No.
The American people were promised that the most violent individuals would be removed. And instead, we've been given this. You even deported a child, U.S. citizen, fighting cancer. You deported Miguel Lopez, my constituent, who's been in the country for almost 30 years, worked at a local winery, sent his kids to the high school in my hometown, and he showed up to his immigration proceeding following the law, and he was picked up by ICE and sent to Mexico. And every Sunday night, his wife Rosa and their family look at an empty chair where Miguel used to sit for 30 years with his family. What did we get out of that? Who's better off because Miguel, who was following the law, is not in our community? But earlier this month, the American people from Virginia to New Jersey to Pennsylvania, all the way out to California, sent a message that a reckoning is on its way, that accountability is coming. And this lawlessness that's gone unchecked, a lot's going to change. The masks are going to come off. Officers will identify themselves. And Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, you should familiarize yourself with the four corners of this room. Kristi Noem and Tom Homan, get to know that witness chair. You're going to be parked in it for a long time. You're going to have a lot of questions under oath with the subpoena power. And I hope what you're doing is clean and can withstand the scrutiny that everyone on this side of the aisle is going to bring. You think we won't do it. You think you're invincible. You're wrong. Accountability is coming. You've got about a year, and I yield back.
The people who believe they could run raids without warrants, rip families apart without consequence, and hide behind badges and political allies forever. But today, he didn't let them hide. He named them. He told them to look around the room. The very room where subpoenas get approved, where investigations begin, where powerful careers go to die. And he told them to picture themselves sitting right there, answering for everything they thought no one would ever question. But here's where it gets even more intense. Swalwell didn't open with rhetoric or some crafted speech. He started with the thing that people in power fear the most, the truth spoken plainly. He didn't ask how enforcement can be made stronger or more efficient. He asked the one question that cut through every talking point. Is it really that hard for you to detain people right now? He described masked agents storming homes without warrants, chasing people in parking lots, grabbing citizens off the street, and operating like they existed outside the law. And instead of denying any of it, the room went silent, because everyone watching knew this wasn't some exaggerated story. These were real events, real people, real families. Then he took it a step further. He played a video that wasn't up for interpretation. A mother screaming, a child crying after being sprayed, officers forcing themselves inside, shouting threats, refusing to explain, refusing to show a warrant. A family terrified in their own home while recording the only protection they had, the truth. In the background, you hear the child say, "He's a citizen," over and over, like he's begging someone to remember the law. And the agents ignored it, because in that moment, nothing mattered except the power they believed they had. Swalwell didn't play that clip for drama. He played it for documentation, for evidence, for the part of the story that the public rarely sees, and that officials like Noem and Homan desperately want to keep hidden behind phrases like public safety and national interest. Then he told a story that hits even harder than the video. Miguel Lopez, 3 decades in this country, working, paying taxes, raising kids, following the law, and he showed up for his scheduled immigration proceeding, doing exactly what he was supposed to do. Instead of being heard, he was handcuffed and sent to another country. His wife now sits at a dinner table with an empty chair every Sunday night because the system removed a man who did everything right. Not because he was a threat, not because he broke rules, simply because the people in charge could. And then there's the case that shook even the people who try to defend all this. A child, a U.S. citizen, dealing with a life-threatening illness, who was still deported. The excuse? Administrative decisions, legal categorizations, nothing that justified the decision, nothing that made the child safer, nothing that helped the community. But again, someone made that call because they believed there would be no consequences. This is the part Swalwell highlighted that hits deeper than politics. When any group of officials starts acting like they're above the law, even people who support strong policies start getting scared. Because power without oversight never stays limited to its original targets. It expands, it grows, and eventually, it reaches the people who once believed they were safe. But Swalwell wasn't just documenting abuse. He was outlining a shift, a change that's been building, quietly, slowly, but unmistakably. Earlier this month, from Virginia to California, voters sent a message that cut through the noise. Enough. Enough cruelty disguised as policy. Enough unrestrained authority hiding behind the word security. Enough fear being used as a political strategy. For the first time in years, the public isn't just angry, they're organized. They're voting. They're paying attention to what's being done in their name. That's why Swalwell's message hit the way it did. It wasn't just, "We're watching you." It was, "Your time of acting without consequences is ending." Because when leadership changes, oversight changes. And when oversight changes, suddenly the people who've never answered questions will have to answer all of them. Under oath. Under penalty of perjury. In the chair right in front of him. That's why he looked directly at Kristi Noem and Noem Homan and said, "Get to know this room." It wasn't a metaphor. It was a preview. A preview of subpoenas, depositions, witness testimony. A preview of their actions being placed under a microscope, not by activists online, but by Congress itself. And that's why what happened in that chamber wasn't just a speech. It was a shift in power. A reminder that systems built on secrecy crumble the moment someone with a platform pulls back the curtain. And Swalwell pulled it back wide enough for everyone to see. But let's zoom out for a second, because this is where the real story unfolds. For years, policy around immigration wasn't shaped by calm analysis or long-term strategy. It was shaped by fear, by campaign slogans, by the need to look tough instead of being effective. It became easier to villainize entire communities than to admit the system was broken. Easier to perform outrage on TV than to fix the laws that have been outdated for decades. Easier to kick down a door than to build a real solution. And while this performance was happening on the surface, behind it were officers masking their identities, ignoring warrants, detaining citizens, and making decisions that would never survive even the most basic legal review. Because no one was watching. Or at least, that's what they believed. But here's what's really happening now. The public is no longer looking away. They're asking questions. They're demanding to know why families are being split apart without cause. Why raids are happening in schools, stores, and homes without judicial authority. Why people who have lived here for decades are being treated like criminals when they've done everything the government asked them to do. Swalwell's warning wasn't a prediction. It was a reflection of where the country is moving. Oversight isn't coming. It's here. And the people who built careers on operating in the shadows are about to get dragged into the light. And that's why the moment landed with so much force. Because if you strip away the noise, here's the core truth. Democracy only works when the powerful are forced to answer for how they use their authority. When they're required to explain why someone with cancer was deported. Why a father who showed up to court like he was supposed to ended up handcuffed on a plane. Why agents covered their faces and refused to show warrants. Why a child who cried, "I'm a citizen," was ignored as if those words meant nothing. For the first time in years, someone in that room wasn't afraid to say it out loud. Accountability is coming. Not because one party wants it. Not because one politician demanded it. But because millions of Americans, immigrants, citizens, conservatives, progressives, people who disagree on almost everything, are finally aligned on one idea. Unchecked power is dangerous for everyone. And that's why this moment matters. Because when the public wakes up, the system changes. When the system changes, oversight returns. And when oversight returns, people who thought they were invincible suddenly realize they were never protected by law, only by silence. And silence is gone. If you want more breakdowns that cut through the noise and explain what these moments really mean and how they affect your life and your rights, make sure you're subscribed. This story is only getting started, and you're going to want to see what comes next.